We're back. When Kurt agreed to do this show, I only had one request of him, and that was he had to do his mac and cheese. Kurt, I'm really interested how this mac and cheese recipe came about.
It's a really simple recipe, Steve. It's just a straight-ahead Mornay sauce. The real secret is in the cheese.
How did I know he was going to say that?
Exactly. If your viewers at home used our cheese in their own mac and cheese recipes, theirs would be really good too.
That's awesome. So, you ready to get started?
I am.
What's this dish called?
This is going to be Beecher's mac and cheese, our world's best mac and cheese. We're going to, because we're in the South, we're going to add some roast pork into it.
Oh man, I love you.
And then we're going to top it with a roasted poblano relish.
Awesome. Okay, so what's the first step here?
First step, we melt some butter.
We got some already melted here. What, about half a stick?
Half a stick of butter.
And the roux is what? It's basically just equal parts flour and fat.
Our recipe has a little bit more flour than fat, but typically a roux is about equal parts. And you just, all we got to do is cook that until the flour smell is gone. You need to cook it to where you start smelling nuttiness.
And there's different levels of roux. And
Right.
it doesn't really need to be a darker roux. It just needs to have that you said, that taste, that raw flour taste out.
Right.
So. Now, I love your mac and cheese. Tell us a little bit about the different kinds of mac and cheeses that you offer on your website.
We, our world's best is our #1 product. We also sell a mariachi version, kind of a spicy version that has a few vegetables in it, so it makes you feel like you're eating a little more healthy.
Yeah.
And then we have gluten-free. All right, we're ready. Let's add the
Okay.
milk in there. We have a gluten-free mac and cheese as well. Just add it all in there.
There we go. This is about 3 cups
Yes.
of milk. That should thicken up pretty quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't take too long. And you want it to cook it on medium-high until it starts to thicken. As soon as it starts to thicken, you want to turn it down to low. And then one of the secrets to making great mac and cheese is adding the cheese into the bechamel off the heat. All right, see, it's starting
It's looking
to thicken
good now. I think we're just about there, aren't we?
Yeah, maybe turn it down just
There
a
we
little
go.
bit.
I'll turn it down.
All right.
And this has some different kind of spices in it too than the normal mac and cheese, which I thought was really neat.
We add, I'm big on the concept of umami, which is the Japanese name for savory. And so we add spices into the background, which help build the umami-ness of this whole thing. So we got to turn that totally off.
Okay, I got that off already.
In fact, there's a lot of,
we need to really pull it off. Why don't we move it right over here?
there's a lot of residual heat on the burner. So when you add the cheese, you want to take it entirely off the burner.
I'll hold this for you while you get that in there. You want to add this a little at a time, or can you just throw the whole thing right in there?
You can throw it all in
Okay.
there. I want to get every little bit.
Yeah, the more you get, the more flavor you get out of it. Okay. And you're just going to whisk that till it just basically dissolves right in the sauce there.
Right.
And the one thing I really like about this cheese too, not like a normal harder cheese, it melts really nicely into a sauce, especially a bechamel like this one.
Yeah. When we just decided what kind of cheese we were going to make in the very beginning of Beecher's, I wanted to make a cheese that was good enough to be on a fussy Friday night cheese board, but something that was useful enough to use in cooking and versatile. So now see how that's nicely thickened up now? So we're going to add a little bit of garlic powder, a little bit of chipotle chili powder. And that chipotle gives it a little tiny bit of a bite, but not spicy. And then a little bit of salt.
Okay. I've had this mac and cheese before, and one thing you'll notice about Chipotle's, the Chipotle seasoning in here, you can't really tell it's there. You know something's there, but you can't really tell what it is.
That's the whole idea. It's in balance. The salt, the garlic powder, the chipotle, and the cheese are in balance. And what we're really trying to do, and what I think we end up doing, is just make it taste really forwardly cheesy.
Yeah.
All right, so that's perfect looking sauce. And we're going to...
I've got your bowl here.
We need... is this hot? Yes.
I've got it.
You're such a
I've got you, man.
manly man.
I tell you what, I've got asbestos hands here.
Pour that in there.
Okay.
In our bowl. And then we add our noodles. We use a penne noodle, and it's super important that you buy a good penne. You want a thicker wall on it.
Right.
And when you cook it, we do cook it prior, but you cook it to where it's still just a little crunchy. You want it to be undercooked. So it's undercooked enough that you wouldn't want to eat it like that.
Yeah, and when you put it in the oven.
Yeah, cooks more in the in the mac and cheese itself. Put that in.
I'll take that out of your way,
Okay.
Kurt.
And then we've previously roasted up some pork. It's from pork shoulder. We tossed it with some Mrs. Dash seasoning, some salt and pepper. We roasted it in the oven on a sheet pan, and then we covered it in foil and turned the heat way down, let it cook a little low and slow for another 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah, that high heat did it. And I'll tell you what, I'm really surprised we have some left.
I know.
We've just been munching on this thing all day.
I have eaten so much of this pork already. So now they're just going to toss that up.
Okay. And you're just really just combining this. Nothing really has to go back into it. It's ready to go in the oven at this point.
Now, you're certainly welcome, depending on how cheesy you want your mac and cheese to be, to top this with a little bit more cheese so that it gets that nice brownness on the top.
Oh, man, that looks so good. And it smells so good in here. Because that pork is just kind of interacting with all that cheese. And whoo! So this thing has to go in the oven at what temperature, Kurt?
About 350.
And we don't really like to cook the time. We talked about that earlier. You really just want to do it till the inside of it gets about 160 degrees.
Yeah, and so when it's bubbling pretty much throughout. If you could make this ahead of time and put it in the refrigerator, and if you started from refrigerated, you'd have to cook it longer. If you take it right in from here, it's already warm. It's not going to take very long in the oven.
Okay, so I'm going to put this in the oven, and we're going to do our poblano sauce real quick.
Great.
Okay, the poblano sauce. What's the first step in this, Kurt?
We've got to roast our poblanos, and we're going to put them right on the gas burner. You could do this in your broiler in the oven,
right?
Or you could do it right on your barbecue. And we're just trying to cook it till they get kind of mostly black, not really blackened. We're not going to peel the skins. All we're trying to do is get them softened.
And that was very interesting to me. You know, we talked about the skins earlier, how much flavor and nutrients are in the skins. Yeah. And like I said, we're not going to steam these like you would a normal like bell pepper or whatever and get that charred skin off of it. Right. Okay, and you've got one already done in here, right?
I've already cooked most of them. I've got one here that I took right off the heat. It's already cooled. And so all we do is we just chop the top off and get the inside out.
You're taking off the gills and some of the seeds on the inside.
Yeah, I'm not being too picky about it. I'm getting most of the seeds.
Right. Okay.
And then I take those, put them right in my Cuisinart. I add in a little salt.
This is a really neat sauce. Just looking at the ingredients in here. You got some honey.
Honey.
Gives it a little bit of sweetness.
A little rice wine vinegar. A little olive oil.
And that'll help us emulsify. We're really not making a sauce. We're making a relish, aren't we?
It's a relish, yeah. A little cumin. And about a quarter bunch.
Oh, my favorite there, cilantro.
Of cilantro.
I think that's they're like yin and yang together, peppers and cilantro.
I am a giant fan of cilantro.
Okay, you're just going to pulse this thing, right?
Yeah, we just want to make sure we get it all integrated. We're not trying to make a puree.
And the poblano is really not a very spicy pepper either, is it?
It's got a little spice. If you really wanted a lot of spice here, you could certainly add a single jalapeno into it. And that
or
would
serrano. Or a ghost chili.
Well, then, yeah, that's because you really want to hurt yourself. All right, so there we go.
Okay, so we're really to bring this, I'm going to bring this mac and cheese out, and we're going to top this with the relish.
Perfect.
Oh, baby, look at this thing.
That's beautiful.
It's a cheesy, bubbly, brown. I love brown cheese, you know, when you've cooked it. Oh, my gosh.
Some people would coat this with some breadcrumbs. I think that's just a distraction.
You're taking away from the cheese.
Exactly.
And I'm preaching to the choir on that one.
You are preaching to the choir there.
Okay,
right,
so we're going to put a little relish on here, and then we call it.
Well, I think we'll put it on an individual portion.
Okay.
So what we would do is we'd put this to the table, put that to the table, eat family style.
Well,
you dish up a little bit and put some relish on top of it.
Well, I want to taste some of this stuff. I'm going to put a little bit of relish right in here, and I hope I won't burn the heck out of my mouth here.
You will.
But it looks so good with this relish here. I got to get some of that cheese. Look at that stuff. Woo! Look at that.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man. Guys, you got to get some of this stuff. Awesome. Awesome recipe.
All right.
When we come back, Kurt and I are putting together a tasty twist to a classic dessert. But first, it's time to announce our winner of the Cookin' with Kroger sweepstakes. By the way, we're also going to throw in Kurt's cookbook, Pure Flavor, which features 125 all-American recipes from the Pacific Northwest. Don't go away.